guys? It's Scott with Never Hedge, back for another Metamaterials update, and we had a nice little dump there to close the day down 15 cents, down to $4.35. The days of $6 seem very far away right now. Let's take a look at this dump at the close. 645,000 shares dumped right at the closing bell here, and it looks like we are up 2 cents in after hours trading. Still pretty low volume at only 5 million shares traded, and you got to figure up until the last freaking second of the day, that was just under 4.5. Let's see what we got here for RSI. Closed the day at 35.84. Definitely oversold right now. MACDs look like shit, and I don't want to look at them anymore, so we're going to look at options instead. All right, so lots of calls coming through on the $5 strike price yesterday, and if we look at open interest here, looks like we have the most interest at $6, followed closely by $5, and then a little bit at $4 for the calls, and also quite a bit at $10. So good luck with those guys. Puts, we have the most interest at $4 and $5, and then everything else, hardly anything. And for November 19th, we're looking at max pain of $5. We could definitely see that. I would not be surprised at all. Right now, we're looking at 12,898 calls just out of the money at the $5 and $6 strike price here. We do have earnings coming out in the second week of November, so we could see a major run after that, or we could dip down to fucking $3. But I think the earnings are going to be solid. It's going to show Nanotech's revenue on there, so that should be a huge catalyst. So I think $6 calls are worth a shot at this point, especially at only 16 cents right now is what they're going for. So you can get yourself some cheap lotto tickets there if you have the iron jockstrap on. Dark pool volume only 47.17%, only 2.3 million shares traded there. And let's see if we can see the short interest for yesterday. Yesterday was down quite a bit from the average here in the high 50s, and pretty much the last couple of days have been under 50% short interest, so that is a good sign there. And let's see what we got here for Ortex. All right, utilization back up a little bit to 92%, back out of the 80s. And we have a short interest change of minus 2%. Current short interest still hovering around 20 million there. And we've had 816,000 more shares returned than borrowed. Let's see, anything else jumping out at me? Not really. Everything else is pretty static here. Shares on loan still in the 40 millions. Free float on loan still around 30%, 29.95. And let's see what we have for short interest here. Dark pool short volume almost half of what it was last week, down to 26.49%. And days to cover is also way down. We were up over 5 days last week, now down to 3.5. Short squeeze score hovering around the same mid-70s. And it looks like the shares available to borrow is still right around 1 million. We've been hovering between a low of 350,000 yesterday, high of 1.8 also yesterday, and right now sitting at 900K. pretty static there. And that borrow fee rate is way down. We were up 4.5% last week. Now we're down under 3. And it looks like we had quite a bit of action come in after Mr. Big Dick Tommy Welch here picked up 46 million shares. I think he only picked up 23, but he had 23 before that. And I think a lot of institutional investors saw that and are FOMOing into this now. So we had 114,000 yesterday from FCPX, PEX, Fidelity Small Cap Index Fund, 165 picked up by BlackRock. And we got a nice little call and put spread here. Lots of calls, 484,000 and 77,000 puts by the Cutler Group. And yet we are down fucking 3% today. All right, now that Metamaterials is down over $1 from last week, now the favorable investor place articles are coming out. Metamaterial stock is a buy on both long-term and short-term potential. So we got a nice little fluff action here, talking about the Q2 revenue growing by 197%, making for a very, very impressive headline. However, in absolute terms, the company's revenues are minuscule at $624,000 for Q2 and $1.2 million for the first half in total. And these revenues are dwarfed by the Metamaterials losses of $5.2 million in Q2 and $49.3 million in the total first half of 2021. They're going over all their patents and all that stuff we already know. Talking about how heavily shorted the stock is. And this hack here, Mr. Joseph Nograles, says it's an interesting investment even without a short squeeze, but it could take years before any of its products fully take off. This is why the short squeeze situation benefits investors, as it provides a short-term catalyst while waiting for the company to execute. And now we are going to strap on those tinfoil hats, talking about minerals. And this is an article, so this is by Routine Bill from a couple hours ago, talking about Metamaterials and a lithium connection in the Oregon basin where they have the Torchlight land. All right, now that the tinfoil hats have been thoroughly engaged, says he's just doing his daily DD digging, triple digging, DD digging. So this is a headline from 2019 about Continental Precious Metals investing in Metamaterials. And it's interesting that this article here was not distributed to the U.S., only in the Canadian news markets. And Metamaterials acquired Continental Precious Minerals Inc. And there is a active lithium mine, the Round Top Lithium Mine, I believe is the name of it, 70 miles away from the Torchlight oil lands here. And here's a quote from an article about extracting lithium for electric car batteries from the waste from oil fields. So this could be the play that he thinks that Metamaterials was making in acquiring Torchlight. Here we go. Working with the oil and gas industry, we can take advantage of the infrastructure already existing in Alberta, says Amanda Hall, president of Summit Nanotech. Here we go, guys. Speculation. The dates line up all too well. You can't tell me George didn't hear about this and immediately see an opportunity, and he may have actually found this first. No way a little nanotech company from Canada figured out something ridiculously lucrative and announced it without Metamaterials being extremely interested, if not involved as well. And it looks like we have some data on Continental Precious Metals investing $14 million in Metamaterials for their IPO that never took place because of their reverse takeover of Torchlight. But certainly interesting stuff. We can take the tinfoil hats off now, because I think that is just about going to do it for this one, guys. So as always, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel for more updates on Metamaterials as well as other stocks and tokens we like. And I thank you guys so much for watching this far, and I'll see you in the next video.